Hola, buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a todos a esta transmisión, esta segunda sesión de preguntas y respuestas con los cortometrajistas internacionales de esta edición número 17 del Festival Internacional de Cine de Monterrey. Estamos con tres de los directores de Cortometraje Internacional Documental. Está con nosotros Adrián Figueroa, el director de Letters from Silibri. Está también Julian Goudichot, el director del documental Locked Out. Y por último está Gustavo Silva, director del cortometraje There's a Woman. Y pues el día de hoy la charla la vamos a dirigir en inglés porque nuestros panelistas están más cómodos hablando en inglés. Hablaremos un poco sobre sus cortometrajes, recordarles que los van a poder ver a partir del 19 de agosto y hasta el 29 a través de Filmin Latino. Y pues bueno, para empezar, I would like to introduce you guys again now that you can understand me. Gustavo, thank you for being here. Julian, Adrian. I would like to start this panel by asking you about your individual projects, who you are as a filmmaker, and what can you tell us about the short film that we're gonna see here in the film festival. Gustavo.
So, I'm a Portuguese wannabe filmmaker. I like to think the film is kind of my hobby because I can do it professionally here in Portugal. What I do mainly is weddings. And this film about my grandmother was supposed to be a feature film. I want to do a feature film about her, but I don't have the resources right now. So I decided to focus on the relationship of her and my grandfather and do a short film, just focusing on that. But after I'm preparing a feature film about her, I hope so. It will come out eventually.
Okay, and your short film is based upon a poem that your grandfather wrote, isn't that correct?
Yeah, because when I was a kid, my grandmother showed me a poem written by my grandfather, and she told me, I don't know who we wrote to this, and I told her, this is for you, of course, obviously. And I kept the poem in a little paper till now. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I need to do a film about it. Just focus on the poem. I would like the movie to be kind of my grandfather looking at her. Of course, the audience will look at her, but like the point of view of my grandfather. Although he's not here, I like to think it is his point of view of her, and I try to make it. Okay.
Good. Thank you, Gustavo. Julian, can you talk us a little bit about Locked Out? How did you start this project, this very interesting portrait of Paris by night during the COVID crisis? What can you tell us about?
I start this project by surprise. One night during the first lockdown, I went in my house and I was very stressed because I stayed for the first time of my life 3 days closed in my house, in my small apartment. I live in a 20-meter in Paris. It's very small. It's very hot. So at around 2 a.m., I decided to go in the streets and just to walk a little bit, to breathe a little bit, because I need to breathe. And then when I walked in some streets, usually where there is a lot of people, because it's a famous quarter of Paris with a lot of tourists, a lot of movement. And this night, it had absolutely nothing, absolutely no people. It was like a ghost city. And when I arrived in the corner of the street, usually where there is a lot of people, I saw a man on the floor. He was on the ground, literally on the ground. And so at first I thought that it was a man who had a problem. I don't know, maybe a heart attack or something like this. So I was a little bit worried, and I started to run to try to help him. And when I saw him, I saw a guy just in a kind of hole, you know, where there is the water and the trash, the kind of trash on the ground. I don't know the name exact, I'm sorry. And he had his head inside the hole, like an Austria, you know, the animals. And I asked him, sorry, are you okay? And he appeared with his head, and he had a light on the front, on the front of his head. So he put his light in my eyes, and he told me, yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm just looking for some coin. And I realized in few seconds what what's happened. I realized homeless people was so lost that there is no way to find coin during the day and during the night too. So he was looking for some coin. I talked a little bit with him, and I decided to run in my house to take my camera. And I came back, and we did a small interview. It was just by surprise. We did a small interview in a ghost street. And at the end of the interview, the police arrived by car and told us, "What are you doing in the street? Oh, you go home, and you go home." And so it was totally absurd, because the homeless guy told, I have no home. And me, I told, yes, I have a home. And the policeman continued to cry, go home, go home. And finally, we were separated. And when I arrived at home, I watched my footage, and it was totally absurd. It was totally unbelievable. And it was like if this man was land from the sky to give me a message, you know. So from this night, I decided to take my camera and to turn around in Paris with my motorbike. And for 1 or 2 months, I turn around just to meet people, and to meet was very important to precise that to me just absurd situation, not only homeless people, not only. And so at the end, I collect all the rush, and I edit this movie.
That's really interesting, and I think the result is very intimate and very well. It's very hard to imagine if you're not seeing these people talk and tell you how their life is going. And in that note, I would like to address Adrian and your subject in Letters from Silibri. How did you come in contact with these documents that you use as inspiration for the documentary? I think your mic is off. Yeah.
Now it's on. Okay, great. It was a longer process how this film actually developed. The first initial idea was in the first weeks or so during my artistic residency that I did in Turkey, in Istanbul back in 2019. And I was there basically sent by the German Goethe Institute and also by the German government, basically. And I was there in this kind of artist residency that was a bit like a Big Brother house. It was a little bit cut off, and you were working among other artists, and through this residency program, I got to know different Turkish artists at that time in Istanbul. And when you speak to different artists in Turkey, it really quickly they speak about Osman Kavala. Osman Kavala is in Silivri prison since 2017, and it took 1.5 years until there was an indictment there. First, they tried to accuse him to the Gezi Park protests, and then he was eventually freed only for 1 day, and then they found the Turkish government basically another reason to lock him in, and now they try to link him to the coup d'etat that happened in 2016. But he's basically an ambassador for the arts, and he tries to link art projects. He supports arts projects. He supports arts projects from different communities in Turkey. He also tries to build bridges between Turkish and European partners. So every time you speak about or you get involved within the art scene in Turkey, you speak about Osman Kavala basically. So this was the first time that I start to think about making a film about the situation. And so this idea developed, and I got in contact to Osman Kavala through his lawyer basically, and also the producer of my film, Shidem Mata. She was one of the artists that was basically put in front of the court, so she has a personal relationship to that as well. So this was the first time we managed to get letters by Osman Kavala. There's also a great website, freeosmankavala.org, where you can access the letters that he writes from jail, and also statements that he puts out there. So we use this as a source material to make the film basically, and that's how it started during this artistic residency.
Okay, and the result is really amazing. It's a really beautiful short film, and that's what I would like to talk about next, about your styles. You three have very different styles. I will start again with Gustavo, talking about how you approach your grandmother. Was it something that you talked about with her previously, or did she not know that she was going to be in this film? How did that happen?
I'm always shooting her photos or film, so she's totally comfortable with that. But I think I told her I wanted to do a short film about her, but not too much. I just shot that in 7 days. But I told her, yeah, and she's very comfortable with it. Even when the scene where she's undressing, she's very comfortable with it. She does everything I ask her. If I know it's a documentary, but some things are what's the word, recreated, and I was directing her, and she's totally okay with it. Seriously, I don't know how she handles me, but she has the patience for it, and I'm very proud of the final product.
Yeah, and what about your decision? Yeah, go on.
I think I have an advantage because I was shooting my grandmother, so it was very easy to do it. It's all shot in her house, in the neighborhood, so it was quite easy to do it.
Yeah, and you can feel the closeness in your shots and in the decision of doing black and white and doing like a different aspect ratio. Is that something that you experiment with often? Is that your personal style? Something like that?
I would like to say it's my personal style, but it's kind of not. I just like the 4:3 aspect ratio. I don't want to be, but I do like it. And it's good to know you can feel the closeness, because as a grandchild, I watch the movie. I know I'm close to her, but I don't know what other people feel. Even with the position of the camera, I was just shooting, but I'm glad that closeness feels by other people.
Yeah, and that kind of closeness we can see also in Julian's work, because you got into every possible place that where these people live, right, Julian?
Yeah.
You got to very intimate corners with your subjects.
Yes, usually to film some homeless people or some prostitute or this kind of people, it's a little bit complicated because they are a little bit close. They don't want to talk. When they imagine that you are a journalist or something like this, they are a little bit afraid. But in this period, everybody was strange. So I mean, if you were in the streets, you were someone strange, because you were in a illegal situation, because you were in the street. So when they meet me, it's had something friendly, when they saw me, oh, this guy is in the street. It's sure he has a problem, or he's strange, he's like me. So it was something like this. So the link the link was easy. And night after night, when I meet them, the link was created, and we were alone in the street. We know we share something strange and something in a illegal situation, maybe a little bit.
Good. And in your case, Adrian, how did you come about doing this kind of style? I don't know if we can call it animation or like very real photography. Like we were asking ourselves how did you how did you arrive at those results?
Yeah. So we basically had the letters as a source material, and so basically the narration of what you hear in the film, even though we kind of curated the letters, you know, and didn't just took excerpts of the letters basically. The narration was basically there, and then we were thinking about a right way to maybe at some point to juxtapose the letters or to find a visual language that ultimately makes you hear the letters of Osman Kavala in a new way, in a fresh way, and in an engaging way. Our idea was basically to kind of create some sort of headspace that allows us to listen to Osman Kavala's letters, and at the same time place the letters in context to civil society, so that the letters don't just speak only for themselves, but also speak about for general situations about Turkish or about political prisoners in Turkey at the moment, because there's this universal tone about it. So we came up with the idea to use basically a scenario in some sort that juxtaposes the situation of a jail in 100% in a 180% degree. So you see a very free space. The neighborhood is called Esenyurt, which literally translated means something like windy land. So when you see these images, you don't think about a prison necessarily. At the same time, this neighborhood is full of contradictions. I mean, urban transformation is happening in Istanbul, especially in this neighborhood, in a really drastic way. And when we were looking for locations, sometimes from one day to the other, we couldn't use them anymore because things got built or there was a crane in front of this. So it was really radical in that sense. And in a way, a lot that Osman Kavala fights for and also stands for was almost represented in this space or combined in this place. So that's why we chose this kind of surreal looking place that is real, and at the same time also we played with fiction. So there are some animations in it that we put in later, and we kind of, and generally I like to play in my work with the concept of reality versus fiction, and find moments where they blend, and you can't really know, or you don't really know what's real and what's not real. And this, almost allows you to get into this headspace, as I said before, and that's where we came up with the visual language.
Oh, that's really amazing work that you've done. Like, I'm just curious for all of you three. In your minds, is like how long have you been developing these concepts, and how are you finding audiences now that you are going to film festivals, or maybe it has started conversations about other projects? So I would like to know a little bit about what you've heard after you released the short film to the world. Gustavo.
Right now, I haven't heard a lot of it. I just went to a film festival in Berlin. I had a Q&A. I think that people liked it, but I only have one person telling me that, and not much more, not much more. Right now, I don't have any opinions about it. Outside opinions, I have my friends who saw it, but they count, but They like
The
me also, so
first
I
judges.
can figure it out.
No, so it's relatively new that you're sharing this work,
Yeah.
and you're usually developing other projects, or how is your, like, what's the life of a
Right
documentary
now,
filmmaker?
I don't consider myself. I like documentaries, but I don't consider myself a documentary filmmaker. I like fiction too, but right now I'm thinking about I'm trying to write a feature film uh, because I think I love to do films, short films, but I don't think they can really push us forward. Um, so right now I'm trying to write a feature film. I don't know how am I going to do it, to produce it, but it's my main goal right now. Like a doc fiction picture, a
Mm-hmm.
mixture of fiction and documentary, but yeah, that's my main goal right now because I think that's the only way, not the only way, but the main way to really get in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I want to do films full time, not
Right.
as a hobby. Uh, I don't think this is a money of a question of money, but we kind of need to earn some money so we can eat and do pictures. But the main goal is to do something I really feel, and it's really genuine. That's the main goal. The money
Yeah,
comes after, but I'm thinking about a feature film. I don't know how, but
we'll get there eventually,
yeah, hopefully.
hopefully. What about you, Julian? Um, what have you heard from people watching Locked Out? How it's been? Have you been in festivals? How what can you tell us about that?
What I learned.
Yeah, that's also good.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, my English is not very perfect, so I try to hear your question.
No, it's okay. No, I mean in terms of people have seen it, and they have come to you and told you something. What kind of I don't know, reflection they do about this documentary?
Usually, people want to have some news about the character of the documentary. They want to know what are they doing now, if their life change, and how they live, and what's happening. And so sometimes it's a little bit to answer their question because I try all the time to find them because they don't have phones. So I turn with my motorbike. So one day I'm lucky, another day I'm not lucky. But all the people were touched because the pandemic was. All the planet. It was a problem in all the planet. So everybody is touched, and it's an empathic movie. So at the moment it's an empathic movie. It's easy to I don't know how to explain you, but a lot of people.
So I think it's a very, I mean, we saw a lot of short films this year that address COVID and address lockdown. And I think that what really stood out about lockdown is actually the irony of those who do not have a place to be locked in at, you know. And I think that's something that will resonate with our audiences here in Mexico. It's been hard as well. We're still dealing with some of this. Like, this is the main reason why we're here on Zoom or on whatever platform talking. So it has brought some advantages and some disadvantages, but I think in general, people want to see an outcome out of the pandemic. You know, like people want to make something out of what happened, and they want to learn. And I think this documentary really shows something that we don't see, like we completely miss because it's not in our reality, you
Yeah,
know.
it was out of the reality. We know the problem very well of the homeless in Paris, and Paris is a city very violent. There is homeless at all the corner of the street. They are like this. Sometimes they are naked. They try to sing on one leg to have money. You know, they have to become a kind of clown to have to obtain our focus, our concentration, to give them money. And during the pandemic, it had just them in the street. So it was like if the main problem appear in this industry, we cannot to ignore them. When we went out just to buy some food, we saw them at all the corner, and they ran to ask money. They ran to ask some people, and everybody was scared of them. No, no, I don't want to talk with you. Maybe you have the virus. And so with this movie, yeah, it's a kind of not a signature, but I don't know the exact word. I'm looking for some word, kind of signature about this problem. But all the time I try to find the most absurd situation with the homeless guy. I don't want to just film and do some interview with homeless in the street. So I meet a lot and a lot and a lot of people, and when, for example, I drive and I see one man who are screaming on the street, sometimes someone have a coin and there is nobody in the street, but it was absurd. So I stopped and I tried to talk with him, and I asked him if I can film, and after I come back to meet him another day, and it was like this.
Good. Yeah. And Adrian, I would like to ask you as well, how have you heard people receive the short film? How do you feel about the overall result? How has it been for you since you released the film?
Hey, the experience is so great, and I'm really grateful to speak about Osman Kavala, and I'm really grateful that the film travels the world basically, and in a way, because of Corona, because of COVID, all the festivals kind of want to establish this infrastructure where you can speak online. What we're doing right now, so in a way, it's quite a democratic process, and it's great because otherwise the film would be playing in a country and it's happening there, but you don't really join the conversation as a filmmaker. And I think that's really amazing. On the other hand, I have to say, like, the film premiered in 2020 in Oberhausen, and since then traveled to many festivals, and I've never seen the film in cinema. And it was done for cinema, and that's so sad as well, and I wished I could, to see it in cinema because it was made for that. So I kind of have a biased feeling about this. But ultimately, I'm extremely happy about the results and the feedback, and see how people react from different countries who don't know about Osman Kavala, don't know about the situation in Turkey, and I'm able to speak to them about this. So I'm very grateful.
Nice. Yeah. Lastly, I would like to ask you, each of you, we have a lot of film students. Monterrey is becoming a very important city for film. Like, there's a lot of film schools, there's a lot of development around film. The actual purpose of the festival is to bring short films to the city that can be understood, but at some other level inspire people to achieve a certain level of greatness, like we've seen with your short films. So in a more kind of like an academic way, or some sort of motivational speaking, what would you say to people that are trying to achieve this kind of project, a documentary that goes to places in the world, that speaks about a relevant issue, that is very personal? How do you approach that in your life, and what would you say to people that are doing the same thing as you're doing? Gustavo, if you want to start.
I think the main thing right now is just we live in an era we have everything on in our hands. We just grab the camera, go shoot. Of course, it's not that easy, but I think when you use the camera to shoot what you really feel, what you really see. It's your only one. It's your unique vision. So I think it's gonna stand out if it's really what's going inside of you. Don't compare yourself to others. Just see what you like and what you love about life, and put that in film. If that's your main goal, just what you love about life, put it in film. I
Good.
think that's my best advice to you.
Thank you. Julian?
Um, Me, I used to work for some TV report or for some program in the TV. And today at the TV, it's very sad because all the programs, there is a voice to comment what is happening and blah, 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 and all the time. And me, all the time, I want to do documentary. I want to do some movie without voice because people are not stupid. They don't need voice. And with voice, it's insensitive movie. So it's very difficult. And all the time when I have an idea, but people in the profession think I'm crazy because all the time I start to do a movie without money, without team, with a small equipment, and I try to do it. But I mean, all the times when you do effort and when you do something with your heart and your own vision, you will not you will be not disappointed at the end because you will do something. You will let something of you in your life, and if you don't do it, you will regret it. And all the time when I do some efforts, okay, so movie became nothing, but most of the movie became something. And even in my computer, even in my life, even in my own person, it's step by step. And I encourage the people to take their camera and to do what they want to do, because today a lot of people used to tell, no, this project is difficult. Oh no, you can't do it. Oh no, it cannot be in this channel and not in this channel. Maybe on the internet, but it's not sure. And all the time it's a discussion to discourage people. And so we have to fight against this. We have to fight to create a new way, because it is when you take your camera and when you do something with your heart and when you edit it, you are doing something with your heart, and we will create something. Because the world of documentary is very sad. All the time when I talk with movie maker, they don't win money, they work at the restaurant, they have a small job, and they used to do an amazing work. So we have to continue to fight, really.
Let's fight. And Adrian, I see you agree.
Yeah, I agree with what Gustavo and Julien said really much. Maybe I just would add that, people always say, and that's to a certain extent it's true when they say, shoot what you know and do what you know. But I also, for me, my experience was also really grateful to work on something, to understand the world. So to do something that you don't know anything about, and to really expose yourself and be a stranger and be an outsider, and then you have almost like a naive gaze sometimes, but this can really help to make good films because you see something with fresh eyes that other people, take for granted. So I think the outsider eye is very, very important. And often we speak about you have to be what you speak of, or you have to represent of, and I really think you should also be an outsider always. And what I also found very important for my own work, especially when I started off, to always have a project you work on and try to finish the work, even though it's bad sometimes and you feel like I'm not ready. It's just finish it and then start again, and then finish it and then start over again. Only through like this process you can consider yourself a filmmaker, and you will get some there. And it's about the stamina to continue.
Yeah,
you motivated me a lot.
Totally. Yeah, me too.
That's some empowering words. Yeah. Well, I'm really, really grateful that you all got the time to talk with our followers, to be here to talk about your short film. It was a delight to watch them for the first time. I have to say that all three or four of documentaries that I've seen that were selected for the festival were really like a like a gut feeling that it needed to be seen by more audiences. So I'm really happy to be talking to you guys. Thank you so much for your insights, for talking about your projects. We can't wait for people here to see it. They have to wait until Thursday, but we wanted to kind of build up the expectations and see what they will say. The films will be available only in Mexico. I mean, for this festival. But I wish you all the best of luck in your following festivals, in your following projects. You've done some amazing work. Please consider the festival again for your future projects. Y pues me gustaría también agradecer a toda la gente que nos estuvo acompañando en la plática del día de hoy. Estos fueron Gustavo, Julián y Adrián, cortometrajistas de documental. Sus cortometrajes están en competencia para ganar el Cabrito de Plata de Mejor Cortometraje Internacional de Documental. Van a poder ver los cortometrajes de forma gratuita en Filmin Latino. Y pues bueno, eso es todo por ahora. Thank you so much, guys. Say goodbye and
Bye. Thank you very much.
later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Hope you like it.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.